And this week's cover story is time up for the ayatollahs. I'm joined this week by foreign policy writer Sean Durns. You're the author of the piece. Now, obviously, Sean, since you wrote the piece, we've had certain new developments, but I think the broad picture that you paint still holds. Talk a little bit about where you see things going right now.
Yeah, thanks, Jim, and thanks for having me here. It's often said that, or Lenin, I should say, once said that there are decades where nothing happens, and then there are weeks where decades happen. Mm-hmm. And I think we've seen that unfold in the Middle East. We've seen it with Iran. Its position is collapsing in the Middle East, in no small part, as I argue in my Washington Examiner piece, because of its hubris.
So October 7th was obviously a turning point, I think, in this area in terms of what Israel was willing to tolerate. But also the Trump administration seemingly has taken a pretty hard line here and was pretty serious in its red line about the Iranian nuclear program. Where do you see that headed?
I think that's exactly right. The president has been very, very clear. We cannot tolerate a nuclear Iran. It's a threat to us because of their potential intercontinental ballistic missile capabilities, and it's certainly an existential threat to Israel. So the second that Iran decided that they weren't going to take negotiations seriously, I think the course was set.
So it's unclear how much the strikes that happened before we're filming this over the weekend have really set back the Iranian nuclear program, but it does seem that in addition to those strikes, various things that Israel has done have weakened Iranian proxies, and it looks like Iran may simply be militarily weaker than it's been in recent years. Is that a fair assessment?
I think that's absolutely a correct assessment. Iran excels at terrorism. It's what they're good at. They're good at asymmetrical warfare. Their conventional military is lackluster at best. I would actually describe it as middling. And I think we saw that on display in the last week or two here. Iran is good at having its proxies surround and attack civilians. That's what they're good at. Air defense, not so much.
Right. So where do you see things moving forward? I mean, Trump has done the strikes. It's not clear whether there'll be additional strikes. There has already been some Iranian retaliation, but it looks like it was largely symbolic. Where do you see things moving forward?
That's a great question. I think that Iran thinks that this is still business as usual. They signal that with their attack today at the Qatari air base. They think that they can just do these pre-arranged signaled attacks and that they can just keep doing what they're doing without going to the negotiating table and taking things seriously. The president, however, has been clear. There will be no attacks tolerated on American troops, and Iran needs to give up its nuclear program to the extent that it still exists.
So given that this may decide whether the regime stands or falls, do they get into sort of a defensive crouch here? Do they go to the negotiating table? Is there the potential for further escalation?
These are really great questions, and I'm glad that there are great people in the Pentagon and elsewhere working through them. I think that the regime would be wise to go to the negotiating table. However, the regime's nuclear program and its ambitions are intertwined with its very creation. From the very beginning, the Islamic Republic has called for death to America, death to Israel. And their actions have shown that they mean what they say. The nuclear program has been a matter of prestige for the regime. They've held firm to it at tremendous cost. Estimates vary, but by some estimates, it's cost them $500 billion. And that's a sunken cost at this point. And they've held firm to it. So whether or not they're willing to give that up, I think remains to be seen. It's the Middle East. It's not a good place to be optimistic.
Right.
So we will see.
And the administration did offer them a compromise on the enrichment issue. I mean, that had obviously been a major sticking point in any real nuclear negotiation.
Yes, yeah. The administration, I think President Trump was very clear that he was willing to negotiate, and he had put forward one of many offers that the Iranians have been given, and they've never negotiated in good faith, not just with this administration, but with previous administrations. They've held firm to their nuclear ambitions. They've held firm to calling to death to America and Israel. And this is the result, and it's one of the regime's own making.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Jim.
If you're following us on YouTube, you can read Sean's cover story by clicking here on our digital magazine.